faith in humanity, because it's an experiment. We would not be able to exist if we went on the air and we asked people to call and contribute to WNYC and nobody did. We wouldn't be here if that was the case. So every time when we have these fund drives, we know we can rely on you, the listener, because you support WNYC and you rely on WNYC like we do to inform you about things that are happening both home and abroad. It's people like you in the car, at home, picking up the kids, doing whatever you're doing, picking up that telephone, taking the 5 minutes, 888-376-9692 or WNYC.org.
2 tote bags instead of 1 for your $60 contribution until 7 o'clock only tonight. So won't you make the phone call while you're listening? Get it off the to-do list and support public radio at 888-376-9692. That number again is 888-376-WNYC. You can also make a secure e-pledge at WNYC.org. You'll see the $60 tote bag there and know that it's not 1, but it's 2 until 7 o'clock tonight. Thank you so much if you've given in the past. Thank you for going to the phone now. We really appreciate it. From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Audie Cornish.
And I'm Ari Shapiro. We're going to check in now on DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program that protects young immigrants from deportation. To recap, President Obama started this program through an executive action. President Trump canceled it. Judges hit pause on President Trump's action, and Congress failed to pass a bill that would make DACA permanent. That brings us to today. Some moderate Republicans in the House are now trying to force a vote with Democrat support. We wanted to know what this uncertainty means for DACA recipients. So we've invited David Leopold back on the program. He's past president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association and joins us from Cleveland. Hi there.
Hi.
So let's talk about what this uncertainty means for the people who are covered under DACA. President Trump's deadline to end the program was March 5th. Courts put that on hold. So more than 2 months after the deadline now, has anything changed?
Well, what's changed is you have increasing anxiety among dreamers, understandably. Every day that goes by without a permanent fix for DACA is another day in which the anxiety levels are increased for undocumented youth.
Apart from generalized anxiety, what's the most common specific question that you get from DACA recipients?
That's easy. Should I renew? Should I file an application to renew my DACA?
And what do you tell them?
The first thing I will tell DACA recipients is do not do anything without talking to an attorney. If it's a renewal situation, I have been mostly emphasizing that they apply for their renewal, especially if somebody's information has already been given to the government.
What if somebody is eligible for DACA but has not applied before and wants to apply now? What do you tell those people?
Well, first of all, there's no way to do that right now. Judge Bates out of the District of Columbia, district court judge, found that dreamers who were not yet registered for DACA could actually apply for DACA. That was the most expansive of all of the DACA rulings, but he stayed his own order for 90 days to give the government an opportunity to justify legally why it attempted to withdraw DACA. That said, assuming that that ruling stays in place, I think people who do not have DACA yet and are thinking of applying really do need to think the situation through very carefully, because the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs Enforcement do not have their information in their files yet. Putting yourself forward with new information about yourself can be potentially very dangerous.
You're saying it might be better for some people to stay in the shadows.
Well, as an attorney, I can't advise anybody to stay in the shadows. I can only advise them what the law is. They have to evaluate the risk of applying for DACA versus the risk of staying in the shadows.
Could you tell us about some of the general advice that you're giving clients? I'm thinking there have been reports of immigration activists being targeted for deportation as a form of retaliation. This is something that ICE denies, but are you advising people to keep their heads down more generally?
No, I'm not. I think that people in this country, the Constitution applies to everybody in this country, whether they're documented or whether they're not documented.
How do you see this uncertainty ending? Do you think it comes down to a Supreme Court ruling or congressional action, or does it just keep spinning forward with these short-term extensions like we've been seeing?
I think ultimately the answer is going to have to be legislative. It's Congress that's going to have to make permanent the protections for dreamers, for people who came to the country as youngsters.
And the president who's going to have to sign that.
which is a problem.
So this action by moderate Republicans in the House to try to force a vote with Democrats, you're not holding your breath that this will be any kind of a real solution?
Well, I'm applauding the effort, of course, but I'm not holding my breath for this.
David Leopold, immigration attorney in Cleveland. Thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you, Art.
WNYC is supported by Focus Features, presenting Pope Francis, A Man of His Word, a documentary film by Wim Wenders that explores the world of Pope Francis with him through conversations about human rights, injustice, faith, and family, in theaters this Friday. WNYC's digital transformation is supported by the Jerome L. Green Foundation.
This is WNYC. Good evening. It can be hard enough to feel like you belong in high school. Now, imagine going to one of the most academically demanding schools in the country and being one of just a few from your own racial group or neighborhood. That's how it is for African American students who attend Stuyvesant High School in Lower Manhattan. The school offered just 10 seats to black 8th graders for the upcoming school year. That's out of a total of 902 offers. But WNYC's Bina Shamet says it wasn't always like that. She talks to black alumni who remember what one of the city's most competitive schools was like back in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, nice one.
Nzinga Prescott knows a thing or two about hard work, discipline, and being one of the only black people in the room. She's a fencer. Prescott has competed in the Olympics twice and is the current national champion.
No slow motion fencing today. No slow motion fencing.
When Prescott enrolled in Stuyvesant High School about a decade ago, she was one of 66 black kids there. That's out of a student body of more than 3,000.
It was like almost like, these are the people you will be friends with.
Prescott is one of only a few elite black fencers, but she says she never felt isolated because she trains with and now teaches fencers of color. She says having a community helped her feel at ease in a way she never did at Sty.
And I think when you do have that, and you feel comfortable and you feel like, I can be myself, I can be like my complete, like, no reservations, no hesitations, no like doubts. That's exactly what it puts forward, like a confident person, you know? And when you feel isolated, I feel like it diminishes your confidence a bit.
And she says that makes it harder to succeed. The school has admitted even fewer black students since Prescott graduated. Less than 1% of current students at Stuyvesant are black, even though they comprise more than 25% of public school students across New York City. It wasn't always like that. Lisa Bing was a sophomore in 1975 when the number of black students peaked at just over 300.
Compared to today was, a million.
Stuyvesant was a different place back then, and not only because it was in a different building.
I was in the 5th class of girls at Stuyvesant. So when I'm 13 and I'm considering high school, I'm thinking, wow, okay, let's see, it just went co-ed, so the ratio of boys to girls is in my favor. God honest truth, that's why I went to Stuyvesant.
Boys, crushes, dances. There's a whole lot more that goes on in high schools than classes and tests. And if there's one great unifier of the high school experience, it might just be the cliques. Back in the 70s, Bing says black students didn't have to stick together in a single group.
Just like any other high school group, they're the nerdy kids, they're the more social kids, they're the arts kids. But we kind of moved in and out of all of those circles.
While Bing crammed for tests and cheered at games, the city around her was changing. The same year that black student numbers peaked at Stuyvesant, the city's economy tanked. The 1975 financial crisis led white residents to flee the city in droves. A few years later, New York City began to see a boom in immigration from East and South Asia.
Stuyvesant was a culture shock.
Richard Bury made his first hour-long commute from East New York to Stuyvesant in 1984. You might recognize his name. Bury was a deputy mayor who led the rollout of universal pre-K. Back when he was in high school, Bury experienced inequality firsthand. He says being black wasn't the only thing that made him different from most other students.
They had different preparation, different resources, different expectations that were given to them. And I just felt that in a very guttural and physical way pretty much every day of my high school career.
He dealt with all of that added tension on top of the demands of a really competitive school. Chris Marsh is a sociologist at the University of Maryland who says there's a name for that.
It's called stereotype threat.
Marsh says black students often overcompensate to push back against stereotypes that they aren't as smart as white or Asian kids.
So what happens is that you then have to carry that stereotype threat with you. You have to carry the burden of having to put additional networks together to help you through the school. So being in those isolated spaces, even though they're one or a few of many, it can be very challenging for the student.
And it was a challenge that stuck with Richard Bury. Even though he went on to Harvard and Yale, he continued to wonder if he was good enough. Bury says he still suffers from imposter syndrome.
I used to feel it every day in City Hall where I'm looking around trying to figure out, why am I here? And why are you all asking me questions?
Remember Lisa Bing, who went to Stuyvesant in the 70s? Now she advises business executives on diversity. She says the decline of black student enrollment isn't just a loss for black students.
In high school, you're taking exams together, you're studying together, you're worrying about the test together, you're, not understanding the calculus and the physics and freaking out together. Those are valuable experiences, and that is lost when you're not having intimate experiences with people different from you.
Admission to Stuyvesant and 7 other specialized high schools in the city is based on a single test. The city has initiated reforms to make admissions more representative. City education officials changed the test last year and increased funding for free test prep programs in 2016. Jeffrenique Richards is a recipient of one of those efforts, the DREAM program. I met her outside of Stuyvesant before an event where she could talk to black alumni about their experiences. But first, she has to take the test.
But I can't wait for the summer because we're going to use the actual book that prepares me for the test.
Richards is in 7th grade and admits to being a bookworm. She's been preparing for the specialized high school admission test for more than a year. Her mom is a single parent and said she wouldn't have been able to afford even a few months of test prep on her own. But Richards knows that there are parts of the Stuyvesant experience that she can't prepare for.
I understand that sometimes it may be hard due to the low population of black people.
She knows she'll be representing more than just herself.
Well, I hope to represent a good stereotype for my community. Show that we could be, definitely we are smart and we could do a lot of things too.
If she gets in, Richards will go from a middle school where almost 90% of students are black to a high school where she may well be the only black kid in most of her classes. Binish Ahmed, WNYC News.
I'm Bob Garfield, co-host of On the Media. WNYC has been providing quality independent journalism for quite a while. But as you may have noticed, the world of media is changing. Legacy outlets have been devastated by digital revolution and employ fewer than half the journalists they did 20 years ago. And online competition publishes a lot of content, but has little money for actual reporting. Because once again, reporting is expensive, and these sites are running on venture capital mostly at a deep loss. The consequence is that WNYC is more important than ever. While other organizations fold and shrink and cut back, we are each year increasing our investment in news gathering. More deep reporting, more quality journalism, more stories that others can't or won't tell. Remember, it's your contribution that keeps this station going, so please become a member right now. And thank you very much.
Become a member right now by calling 888-376-9692. You can also go online to WNYC.org. Click on the donate button on the homepage. This is day 1, folks, of our spring fund drive at WNYC. We want to get off to a strong start here, so we can look forward to this being a strong drive overall. So if you plan on contributing during this, our spring fund drive at WNYC, take the 5 minutes right now. Get it off your list of things to do. 888-376-9692 or WNYC.org.
This is the company you keep on your commute home every day, or as your workday is perhaps winding down. It's all things considered, and you know you can count on what happened during the day. How do I make sense of what happened last night? What's going on locally? The WNYC newsroom is going to be on it. We have all these resources for you through your radio or through your computer speakers or into your earbuds, because members like you, listeners like you, have been members. So that's what we're asking you to do now, is kind of translate your listenership into membership. It's so easy to do. It's a very quick phone call to 888-376-9692, or you could quietly do it at your computer at WNYC.org.
Yes, this is our Spring Fun Drive at WNYC. You are the public in public radio. That is no joke, folks. We all believe here in the mission of public radio and believe in what it means to be here and how we get here. And it's here because people like you pick up that telephone. It really is that simple. And it works because there are people out there like you who listen and contribute to WNYC because they want to support strong, independent journalism, free from outside influence, journalism that informs you about things that are happening both at home and the world. We're in New York City, after all. Again, 888-376-9692, WNYC.org. And if you needed a little extra incentive,
we sent WNYC's Cindy Rodriguez out on the street with a very important question.
What do you carry in your WNYC tote bag?
Oh, wow, I always have a little bit of deodorant because you never know when things might get a little sticky out there.
Ah, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, tissues are great. Chapstick is really good. I always carry actually 2 chapsticks, and like a granola bar is always in my tote.
There's nothing better than a WNYC tote bag to get you and your stuff around the city. They look good, have plenty of space, and most importantly, they let everyone know that you support independent news and rigorous reporting. But you can only get the tote bag by making a donation. Here's how.
Give us a phone call at 888-376-9692. That's 888-376-WNYC. You can also see the tote bag at WNYC.org. Normally, it's 1 tote for a $60 contribution. Today, only until 7 o'clock, 2 totes for a $60 contribution. And you can break that down over the course of the year at a $5 contribution per month. You know the tote bag. It's the one you see around town all the time with the red WNYC logo.
Exactly. I go to the beach every summer, Julianne. This is my ritual. I go down to the Rockaways. If you New Yorkers are familiar, of course, Rockaway Beach and Fort Tilden and Reese Beach and all that stuff. Without fail, every year I go down there and I see every 10 minutes somebody with a WNYC tote bag, and it warms my heart because what it says to me is that there are people out there who support community journalism in their own community. I know it's New York City, so it's hard to believe, but we really are one big community. What better way to show your support for that than contributing to WNYC? 888-376-9692. You can also go online to WNYC.org. If you're just tuning in right now, this is day 1 of our Spring Fun Drive here at WNYC. We're relying on you to get us off to a strong start.
Think of it as we've just passed the hat and it's in front of you. Would you ever be at a concert or maybe see a busker in the subway who just moved you and not throw some money into the guitar case or the hat? No, you're that person who would do it. That's what public radio is today. We're putting the hat in front of you. We're saying how much have you listened? What really moved you? What woke you up to Morning Edition the other day? What kind of commute did you have with All Things Considered recently? Were you moved to call the Brian Lehrer Show? Did you turn on WNYC over the weekend because you enjoy Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me? Or you can't miss an episode of On the Media because it really makes you understand the world and the Trump administration and so much so better. These are all the reasons to give to WNYC. Why not start with a $5 a month contribution now, and we'll send you not 1, but 2 of the WNYC tote bags. That's only until 7 o'clock, though.
Exactly. So if you want to cash in on that amazing deal to get those super cool tote bags, you got to call 888-376-9692 or go online to WNYC.org. And the great thing about public radio, Julianne just alluded to it, at the end of the day, it's the collective contribution of what people can contribute. There's no dollar limit, there's no minimum, there's no maximum. It's what you can contribute, what you think you can, when you can. And these are one of the few times a year we do come to you and ask to contribute what you can, because this, frankly, is how we stay on the air here at WNYC. 888-376 888-376-9692. You can also go online to WNYC.org. Again, $60 one-time contribution. 2 of those canvas tote bags. These are really nice tote bags. I'm feeling the canvas right now. I don't know if that translates, but
it's sturdy.
It's a sturdy bag. 888-376-9692 or WNYC.org.
Thank you so much if you've given to WNYC in the past. Thank you if you're clicking over to WNYC.org right now to make your contribution. $60 is 2 tote bags, not 1, but only until 7 o'clock. So please do it right now. If not at WNYC.org, 888-376-9692.
Support for NPR comes from WNYC members and from Atlassian, provider of collaboration software for organizations of all sizes. Through products like Jira Software, Confluence, Trello, and Stride, teams can plan, track, and communicate. More at Atlassian.com. LogMeIn, makers of GoToMeeting, a collaborative meeting platform with over 18 million monthly users, designed to connect people from anywhere in the world on any device. Learn more at GoToMeeting.com. And Exact Sciences, offering Cologuard for average-risk adults over 50, a non-invasive colon cancer screening test that can be used at home by prescription only. Information at Cologuardtest.com.
This is WNYC, FM, HD, and AM, New York.
Gina Haspel's confirmation for CIA director now appears certain after the Senate Intelligence Committee recommended her for the job. Good evening, I'm Sean Carlson, and this is All Things Considered on WNYC. Senate Democrat Mark Warner was skeptical of Gina Haspel's record on torture during her confirmation hearing for CIA director.
She is committed to upholding the law. I appreciate it, but it is not enough.
Now Warner explains why he voted in favor of Haspel anyway. Also this hour, the Trump administration is trying to keep plans on track for a summit between the U.S. and North Korea. We'll get the latest on that story. And later, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a law making sports betting illegal in most states. We'll check in on how New Jersey is taking the news. All that and more this hour, right after news headlines.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Barbara Klein. The Senate has voted to retain Obama-era net neutrality rules. Senators approved a resolution that reverses the Federal Communications Commission's decision last year to repeal the rules, but it's not expected to change anything in the end. As NPR's Susan Davis reports, House Republicans oppose the resolution and don't even plan to bring it up for a vote.
Democrats are agitating for a political fight over internet access this November, now that every Democrat is on record in favor of net neutrality and almost every Republican against it. 3 Senate Republicans, Susan Collins of Maine, John Kennedy of Louisiana, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, sided with Democrats to protect Obama-era rules that say internet service providers can't block or slow down internet access. Republicans support rolling back the government's ability to regulate the internet, which is what they say the FCC did. And they're skeptical the issue will motivate voters, especially if they see no changes to their internet service. Susan Davis, NPR News, the Capitol.
North Korea injected new doubt today into plans for a highly anticipated summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. Pyongyang today threatened to pull out at the meeting, but NPR's Aisha Roscoe reports the president says the White House hasn't been notified.
President Trump says it's unclear whether the meeting with North Korea's Kim Jong-un will still take place as planned in June. Asked by reporters whether the summit is still on, Trump responded, "Time will tell."
We haven't seen anything. We haven't heard anything. We will see what happens.
President Trump did say he will continue to insist on denuclearization of North Korea, which has been a sticking point in past negotiations. North Korea said it will not agree to one-sided demands to give up its nuclear weapons. The White House says Trump will be ready to meet if Kim is willing to move ahead with the summit. Aisha Roscoe, NPR News, the White House.
Thousands of teachers flooded the streets of Raleigh, North Carolina today as the state legislature started its annual work session, the president of the North Carolina Association of Educators, Mark Jewell, tells ABC News teachers are demanding higher pay and more funding for public schools.
It is definitely a statewide event. I think that speaks about how the school systems and educators across the state of North Carolina said they've had enough.
But North Carolina's Senate leader, Republican Phil Berger, says teachers will get a raise next year, and they're spreading misinformation. On Wall Street today, some gains to report. The Dow closed up 62 points at 24,768. The Nasdaq rose 46 points to close at 7,398, and the S&P 500 rose 11 points. This is NPR.
This is WNYC in New York. I'm David First. More than 100,000 people remain without power one day after a thunderstorm barreled through New Jersey and New York. The National Weather Service has now confirmed that 2 tornadoes touched down in Putnam County. Governor Andrew Cuomo says 10 years ago, these kinds of weather events were outside the norm.
Forget that. You know, all the old rules are gone. You have to expect storms. You have to expect a possible tornado. You have to expect losing power.
4 people died in New York and Connecticut. Service on Metro North's Wassaic line remains suspended due to fallen trees, but the Harlem line is fully back in service. U.S. Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos was in Queens today. WNYC's Gwen Hogan reports.
DeVos toured classrooms at Yeshiva Darhei Torah in Far Rockaway, Queens. She observed students as they learned to bless food and study the Torah.
Then comes grapes.
There were some secular classes too. Chemistry, literacy, and a vocational class where a student showed her how to use a soldering iron. The day before, she toured an all-girls yeshiva. Her visit to New York City was met with some criticism. It's her first school visit, and she didn't go to any public schools. DeVos wouldn't talk to reporters, but her press secretary says she visits lots of public and charter schools across the country, and she'll get to one in New York City on another visit.
New York City public advocate Letitia James is the first Democrat to throw her hat into the race for state attorney general in November. If elected, James would be the first woman to serve in the position. In her official announcement today, James said she would run as a Democrat and not on the Working Families Party ballot line, though she has been endorsed by the Working Families Party in the past. Some observers have speculated she's seeking to curry favor with Governor Andrew Cuomo, who has cooled to the party. The Working Families Party said in response, quote, "In King Andrews, New York, everyone else is a political pawn." James's campaign did not respond to a request for comment. 59 degrees right now, light rain falling in New York City. It's WNYC.
Support for NPR comes from Visiting Angels, professional caregivers assisting adults at home in bathing, dressing, meals, and light housework nationwide. Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care. Learn more at 1-800-365-4189.
WNYC offers a lot. News, analysis, arts, conversation, and connection round the clock, on air and on demand. And in return, WNYC asks a lot. We ask you to join the conversation on The Takeaway. We ask you to contribute your perspective when Brian Lehrer crowdsources a report on an issue in our community. We ask you to think deeply about the world with programs like Radiolab and On Being. We ask you to tell your story on death, sex, and money. We ask you to listen. And a few times a year, we ask you to make a contribution to support WNYC. It's a lot to ask, but then again, we have a lot to offer. Please call 888-376-WNYC or go to WNYC.org to make your donation now. And thanks.
The number to call is 888-376-9692. You can also go online to WNYC.org. Good evening, I'm Sean Carlson here from the WNYC Newsroom, joined by Julianne Welby from the WNYC Newsroom. We are here today to talk to you about the first day of our Spring Fund Drive here at WNYC. We want to get off to a strong start, and we know we can do it because you are out there listening right now and calling, picking up the telephone, contributing contributing to your local public radio station. 888-376-9692, or go online to WNYC.org.
If you listen to All Things Considered every day, that's a sign you